Hi, welcome back to Dominus Nisi. This is your host, Bismi, and today on this segment about Mother Mary's miracles, I would love to share a story from Russia. Yeah, we know that we shared stories from different countries, and last time we were talking about Japan, and this time is Russia. And this is a story of a person who gone to monastery and then having the apparitions and then finding out that powerful visions that he had, and his name is Saint Seraphim. So when I was going through the story, I was thinking that Seraphim is a name of a saint. I haven't heard that before. I heard about seraphims, but this is Saint Seraphim of Sarajevo in Russia. So this story happened between 1759 and to 1833. So Saint Seraphim was born in 1759 in Russia. As a young man of 19, he wanted to become a monastery person. So he joined in the monastery and then was going through with that monastic life. And after some years, he wanted to go and live in the wilderness as a monk. So at that time, it was permitted that you can go into the wilderness by themselves, and with no real food and no real shelters, they can live in prayer. So during that time, they will get a bit of like a marginal food that they can keep with them, and they can take any one or two tools that with them, so that they can help themselves from the wild animals or what's happening in that wilderness. So this particular situation, Saint Seraphim took an ox, not an ox, an axe, to get help from ox. So the area that they were living, having big wild ox, and usually to get away, get help and hide from them, or if they were coming to us, they usually take a big axe with them. So Seraphim is a tall person, very we know that the Russian peoples are really good at their the physical strength, and then he was also a really strong man, and then he got an axe. That's the story. Yes. So what happened, he usually needs to walk 2.5 hours to do this, to go to this monk place, but he can come weekly once to get his margin, like a ration food that he will get. So he will get a very small amount of food, because he admitted to have that poverty during that oath that they're taking to become a monk in the wilderness. So he went with that small amount of food. But what happened is that food, that small amount of food, used to multiply every now and then. And he used to feed the wild animals in and around his place. That means he was surrounded by wild animals. He was always joyful and happy. So one day he was in this a wild animals area filled with animals. There comes a big Bulgari teams. There will be group of thief going around the forest, like in any stories that you read. That's where you see, if you are alone, if you are in a forest, or if you are in a dark place, what will happen? Yes, there may be some bad people will come. That's what happened with him as well. So he was so happy, and then he was enjoying his solitude over there, and then a group of thief were going through that one, looking at him and then seeing that he is so happy. They believed that he got a real good money with him. Otherwise, he will not be happy in that wilderness, because he is alone, but he feels so happy, thinking that he may have lots of gold in his hut. They took that big axe that he got and punched him, kicked him, and then tried to kill him as much as they can, but they couldn't kill this person. So Seraphim didn't die, but these thieves actually did their best to make each and every bone to crack and then kill as much as they can. But for some reason, he didn't die. So what happened? So since they didn't see him in his usual regular weekly visits, they found that he was almost dead in his hut in the wilderness. They took back to the monastery and looked after him. So apparently he couldn't talk after that. So 1801 to for 10 to 13 years, he didn't talk at all. So he was in the monastery, but he was inside the monastery, but living the life of prayers. So what he was telling here is that hearing that this person is still alive even after all these things happened to him, the group of thieves came to monastery to see him. And they asked forgiveness for doing this because they didn't know that he was a monk and he was not having anything. He is a person living everything worldly and then praying to God. So they came back and asked forgiveness. But what happened? Seraphim, he didn't talk because he got an apparition that Mother Mary came to him and told that no talking, you are in with him. And then he was very silent. So he submits himself to an ordeal of silence for this long years. What happened? One night he got another Mother Mary's apparition, and he came to the monastic leaders that Mother Mary want him to talk and then help the people in spiritual direction. It's really touched me to read this because whenever I choose a story to tell you, it's always connect with my life in one way or other. So today when I was looking at this story, it's really touched me because last weekend I was on a silent silent hours, finding out my spiritual direction, finding out what I can do in my spiritual life. And it was talking about spiritual directors, and this saint was like anointed by Holy Mother to help nuns to be the spiritual director. So what happened from 1810 onwards, he returned to talk only for this spiritual direction. So he was the spiritual director for a convent, and it is saying that around 2,000 people were waiting to talk to him because his spiritual direction, that full of wisdom and then having that powerful messages. I could relate to that because we were also waiting to talk to our spiritual directors and then finding out what God is trying to tell us, what God wants us to do through our life. So I could really relate how Saint Seraphim was sharing this ministry of spiritual direction. Anyway, so what the story is saying that Mother Mary usually come with John the Baptist and the Apostle John all the time. And he was helping many people, including nuns and lay people, through the spiritual direction. One night he got another apparition from Mother Mary, and this time John the Baptist and the John the Divine appeared to Mother Mary and told. That's the story, another one. Soon, my friend, you will be one of us forever. So what happened? Seraphim later told this apparition to one of the nuns who was there while Mother Mary appeared to Seraphim. Sooner after this apparition, what happened? Yes, obviously, this monk gone to heaven. That was on January 14, 1833. His clothes had been burnt by a candle he was holding when he was dead, and his face was turned towards the icon of Mother Mary. So that's the beautiful story of Saint Seraphim of Sarau. He is a hermit healed by Mother Mary. So he was almost dead by those thief and the axe, but what happened? Mother Mary miraculously healed. So that's what the real story of hermit Saint Seraphim. And if you are going through a journey of spiritual direction, I would encourage you to pray to Saint Seraphim and intercede to Mother Mary, because she's always there to intercede for us and direct us in the right way. This is Dominus Nisi on 88.9 FM, and you are with Bismi.